good morning. And it's an actual factual morning this time, so good on me, I guess. But okay, so we're gonna get into it. So, some backstory. I have a friend who on Instagram, they will send me the worst reels they can find. And I have told them repeatedly, stop sending me things. And they just keep doing it. Love them, but if you watch this, cut it out. But they're the person who unlocked this memory for me. I don't remember what they sent me, but it like unlocked this memory of these clickbait articles that I used to see in like banner ads all the time when I was in like elementary school in the early 2000s, being like on the internet. And like that like time of the internet was so strange. It itself was strange, but it was also that like I was viewing it like through a child's view. Luckily for me, I was never in chat rooms, and even when I was playing kind of the like chat room like avatar games like Zawinky or what was the 3D one? Whatever the free ones that you could play in your browser, or I was on Stardoll, I think that's what it was called. I wasn't spending a lot of time talking to people or like having like any type of like rapport or relationship with anyone, which I'm really glad for actually, because the horror story, I have never heard anything positive coming from someone who used Kick. And I'm very glad that by the time that was coming around, I was not exactly too old for it, but I was slightly older, and I never knew anyone my age who was on it, and I never heard about it because I've only heard about trauma coming from that website. But like, you could just be on any website, like reading manga on the internet, or like playing dress-up games or something like that, and these ads would like jump scare like in the side banner or like underneath or a full pop-up, and I'd have to just like ignore them or like try to find the like way to exit. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I was also not a person who was trying to seek out like strange or like gross stuff, and I know a lot of people did. I vividly remember there was a kid in my like third or fourth grade computer class. He was in my class all the time, but we were in computer class, and that that was when Google had the feeling lucky button. It had, what did it look like? It was Google, the search bar, and there was feeling lucky, and there was something else that was right there. Maybe it was images. I don't remember. But this kid came up to me in computer class, and he came to my computer. He was like, I need to show you something. And he typed blue waffle and hit feeling lucky. And I saw the jump scare that popped up. I was traumatized. And I do not forgive you for that. I almost said his name. I'm joking. I do forgive you for that. But why did you do that to me? The medical gore. Like, I think even in the process of like looking this thing up that I'm about to get into, I was like, what is this? I like Googled it like briefly to see if it was anything. Trying very hard not to hit images. And people were like, it's fake. Like, this doesn't exist. But like, what did that medical gore like picture come from? But that's also a part of it. Or a part of like this experience is that I was like a kid seeing these things that were like obviously fake, but I had that like childlike sense that not necessarily that everything on the internet was true, because that was really beaten into you like back in the day, that like the internet is full of liars. But that sense of like true and false and like imaginary and real, the lines are kind of blurry in a weird way where you can choose to believe in something and make it real, and you can really convince yourself that it's real. Like I think of Slender Man. First time I heard about that was when I was like 13, 14. I had like just started high school, and I had never heard of creepypasta before. So people would tell me like, "Oh, these are real. Like these stories are real. They show you pictures." And like in my mind, I know this could very much be fake, but it's like you have a choice to make. You either tell yourself right now it's real or right now it's fake. And that's what you sort of roll with. Or you like flip-flop between the two, like any given moment. So when I was a freshman in high school, I was really afraid of Slender Man because I had to walk like 20 minutes down this like, it's probably not rural to other people, but to me as someone who grew up in a city, and I had to really go like out of my city to go to high school, when I was walking like with sparse woods on one side and this like big wide road to the other side of me, no like people in sight, like the feeling like if I scream right now no one will hear me, I like allowed myself to feel fear. I avoided that stuff because when I was young I didn't enjoy that feeling of being afraid. So back in the day as a youth, I would be clicking on like Girls 2 Games, Cool Math, whatever. In my mind, I have an image of a website, but I don't know what I was doing. I just know it had black borders. And in the borders on the side, I remember seeing this like story recurrently. And all over different websites too, but I remember it like vividly in this place where it would say something like dog human hybrid, and it had a picture of like a wrinkly looking like puppy man, or like a like dog baby. I don't remember how old I was, but even me now, I just found out like a year and a half ago that when they make mixed breed dogs, they use artificial insemination. So me as a small child, when I saw that photo, what I chose to believe was that it was fake, or that at least I did not want to learn any more information about what was going on here, because I was kind of old enough to understand the idea of sex and reproduction, and this idea that like to make a baby you need to have sex. So seeing like a dog human baby, I was very like, something here is very bad. Like if I go down this rabbit hole, I will find myself in a bad place where I will have bad feelings. I was just like, shut that out, blinders on. I will not look at that. And like, I didn't understand how people would fake photos, but I knew that some photos could be fake. So I was like, this is fake. And I am choosing to tell myself that for a reason. So I was very disturbed by like all of the implications that were coming up. And that really like scared me. I don't think it ever like kept me up at night or I had like nightmares, but I do remember I thought about it kind of a lot. Like it would come to mind and I'd be like, ooh, scary. Also with those like banner ads, like I knew enough to know don't click that. Like if you grew up in like the early 2000s, like using a computer, you know, like just don't click that, because a bunch of pop-ups are gonna like erupt on the computer. You're not gonna be able to exit out of everything. It's gonna be very overwhelming and scary. You're gonna get in trouble. You're gonna break the computer, blah blah blah. Like it's just I could not investigate it further for multiple reasons. As I said before, something my friend and I were talking about made me remember it. So I was like, I want to investigate that. Like, where did this photo actually come from? Because now as an adult, I'm like, I'm sure that that's not real. I like immediately found the picture and I sent it to them and they were like, that's awful. And I was like, well, I know what it is now at least. And if I have not put it up already, I'll put the picture up now. So the photo comes from a sculpture by the artist Patricia Puccinini, and it's from a 2003 art exhibit called We Are Family. Though I do find it slightly revolting, in context, I do think the sculpture is very, like, tender. It does have, like, a sweetness and a softness to it. Like, the, like, little baby creatures do feel like babies. Like, there's that sense of, like, warmth and, like, family to it. Also, with them being, like, silicone on the outside, it makes me wonder if, like, to touch them, they feel very, like, soft and gummy. You know, like those, like, squishy, like, things, stickers you can stick on the back of your phone, and they have, like, a, like, it'll be like a puppy with, like, a big, like, squishy belly, and you, like, squish your finger into it. Like, I wonder if they feel like one of those. The kind that, like, collect a lot of lint, and it's like, oh, gross. Or, like, a, like, reborn doll. I don't think I've ever touched one, but, they scare me. This artist, Patricia Puccinini, looking at her other work, a lot of it is very, like, fleshy. She's very inspired by ideas surrounding genetic engineering, scientific interference in, like, human or animal evolution. These ideas of, like, lab-grown creatures, like, cell mutation, like, things like that. I'm trying to remember the timeline of her work, because I believe there is a period of time where she added that, like, softness and that, like, warmth into it. And I really like her work that is both those things, where it's these ideas of, like, mutation, like hybrids, these, like, creatures, but they have a sense of humanity or of, like, warmness to it. It's almost like, one time I was on Reddit and someone had posted a picture of, like, a like, centipede, like, curling around its, like, centipede babies. And they were like, oh, it's so cute. And I was like, I'm going to yarf! Something you think of as, like, oh, that's disgusting. But it's expressing, these emotions or having, like, these values that like cute or like heartwarming to us, or that, you know, people relate to. Like seeing a bug cuddling with other bugs is very, like, gross, in a way that, like, seeing a puppy cuddling with puppies is like, oh, that's cute. That sort of like recontextualizing this creepy thing as, like, a loving thing, as a living thing. I really like seeing that softness in her work. There's one especially called The Comforter, which I might put up here, that speaks to me a little bit more personally than her other work that is less centered on relationships and is kind of more like, look at this thing. At least that's my interpretation of it. Like, some of the, like, creatures she designs, I'm like, okay, I don't connect as much with the artist statement in some of those pieces. That's just kind of my personal interest. Like, a lot of my own work as an artist is centered in, like, relationships, or at least, like, my largest body of work was very much centered in, like, relationships and multi-generational relationships. So people kind of took that, like, artwork and removed it from its context. People were taking this image and, like, cropping it close, and the story that they were attaching to it was, like, animals, like, made in Russia being sold for, like, millions of dollars. There's actually another one of her artworks that went viral not too long ago. Maybe I'll insert it here. That was commissioned. She was asked to design a human being evolved to survive a car crash. and it was kind of turned into a meme. So when I saw that in her like body of work, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen you. But all this reminded me of a slightly more recent like clickbait or like hoax type of thing. That being the Momo challenge hoax, which was going around in like 2019, and the sculpture that was sort of at the center of that. If you haven't heard of the Momo challenge, it's basically the story that children would be in, like young children, like 8 or 9 to like 13 or so, would be in like WhatsApp groups, like, and a scary image of like a woman like creature. I don't even know how to describe it because what it looks like is a cartoon. If a cartoon appeared in real life, like cartoon proportions in real life, it is like scary. Every time I look up the sculpture to find out more about the work and the artist, and I see it, I'm like, oh, like it's actually like really freaky. It was kind of like a like truth or dare type challenge. Like this picture pops up and she tells you what to do and you're sort of like hypnotized to do it. And the dare, or like you're threatened to do it or something like that. I'm not a Momo challenge expert, unfortunately. And I didn't devote too much research time to it. But the idea is the like dares or like the commands that she gives become more and more intense, more and more like violent and harmful, resulting in some sort of like self-harm. And people were saying that there were 2 kids who were playing like this game who had ended up hospitalized. None of that is true. I had heard some like a bunch of like celebrity parents were also like spreading this hoax, which I don't blame them too much. No real harm came of saying like, hey, be a little bit vigilant about what your kids are involved in on WhatsApp, or like who they're talking to. But the photo that was circulated, the sculpture is by an artist named Keisuke Eso, and the sculpture is of a bird woman in Japanese folklore. Originally, when he had put this sculpture on display, like it didn't get a lot of attention, so he was really surprised to see it pop up and like be recirculating attached to this story. When he heard about this sort of like urban legend being developed around his artwork, he publicly let everyone know was because of the materials that he was using, it was degrading over time, which that happens sometimes in art. And so he destroyed it, and he let everyone know like this monster that's scaring you kids, like it's gone. I've gotten rid of it. I really appreciate that from the mindset of like a younger person. When I think back to like being a child, he took it seriously enough to like let people know like this thing can't hurt you. I've gotten rid of it. I've destroyed it. It has no more power over you. I think that's a very powerful message to like kids who were really scared of it, and something that like when your parents are sort of like shrugging you off and everyone around you is sort of like laughing, or like is sort of like laughing at the idea of you being like so gullible that you would ever believe this, and you're like alone in your bed like scared or like anxious, you have that message from him that like this can't hurt you. And I really appreciate him for doing that. And what this also reminds me of from an artist perspective is that even though this was in a negative context, and so, you know, I would really hope that my art would not inspire children to be very scared, it does go to show that the stuff that you make now, its time might not be right now. It could be like a few years down the line, or even like decades down the line, this thing that you made that no one really paid attention to, it could become like super popular or speak to a lot of people in a very specific way. And then of course you also see it with like painters or sculptors, other artists who pass away, and then their work much later becomes really well known. But that's a more like, that's something you hear about a lot, like growing up in general, and also as an artist, something that like you think about, and it's a little bit disheartening. This idea that like your time will only come when it can't benefit you in any way. So all that to say, like, you know, in the like social media age, people can feel very tempted to just like, oh, this didn't get enough views, delete it. Like, no one's paying attention to this, like, I feel insecure about it, just delete it, remove it, like, destroy it. But it could just be that the time for that work that you've put your effort into is not right now. It's later down the line. And you could be like blocking yourself from your legacy. Or in a smaller degree, just like blocking your immediate blessing of like, you know, more people like becoming aware of you. But you know, in a larger degree, that could be your legacy, because some people, it is after they're not creating work anymore, or after their life is over, that people do find their art. I said that like I was going to keep going, but that was the end of the sentence. So, as always, a bit of a walk, but thank you for taking the journey with me. Bye!